And we live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Forever a White Belt. I'm your host, Naughty Nate, and today I have a wonderful guest with me. Not only a martial artist and coach, but he's also a combat veteran, an entrepreneur, a PR leader, a mindset coach, and a global speaker. We are honored to have him, Mr. James Gamet. How you doing, Coach?
I'm doing great, man. Blessed, like I say, blessed. Appreciate you and everybody having me on.
Of course, man. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to do this. I know we've been talking for a few weeks now, trying to get this together. I was sick. Previous to that, we just had some miscommunication. But I'm glad we've been able to link up and land this interview. For those of you that kind of don't know who Coach here is, Coach, do you kind of want to give them a little bit of a rundown of your background?
Yeah, sure. So from the Northwest, born and raised in the Northwest, Central Washington to be exact. After I graduated, I went into the Marine Corps. I was in the Marine Corps for 8 years, 3 deployments, 2 of them over to Iraq. Got
Badass, Coach. Thank you for your service too, brother.
Thank you for the support, man. It's an honor, in my opinion. It's an honor to be able to serve and to be able to, meet just so many amazing people. It really does remind me of the martial arts community and just how amazing and badass people can be, and they're just crazy. The most badass people are like they tend to be the most humble, and
Isn't that funny how that works out, right? What do you think? Not to cut you off, but real quick, what do you think that is? Because I have a personal opinion on it as well. Why do you
Mhm.
think that that's the case, though?
Oh man, that's a really good question. I think in order to be great at anything, you have to at some point suck. Like it. Not everybody sucks at everything that they do. Like
Hmm.
there's natural talents, there's a little bit of whatever, but you have to go through that period where you hit that wall where you're just not the best, and
Hmm.
there's something you have to work on, and there's a lot of um, hard work, discipline, a lot of non tangible skills and attributes that people have to gain in order to build that confidence in themselves. And like once they do have that confidence in themselves, it seems like they don't have to brag or have to boast or have to be as upfront and kind of.
Yeah, no, I think you hit the nail on the head there, Coach. I mean, it's all about being humbled, right? I think
Mhm.
that, like you said, there's levels to this, and once you get into anything, you find out what those levels are. They humble a lot of people, and through that humblingness or whatever you want to call it, you're able to relate with other people. Like, oh, I've been there before. I know that when I get a new student that walks into the gym and they're novice, at the end of practice, I always encourage them and let them know, like, hey, everybody has a first day, brother. Like, in order for you to become successful, in order for you to hit that next level, you got to stay consistent. And that's the only difference between people that are trained and untrained is the consistency as to which they participate. And I think that once that's kind of instilled, like you said, in somebody, they tend to relax a lot more. They're just like, bro, I know what's happening. I can see through the little like attitude or facade or whatever it is. So
Mhm.
yeah, that's all. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but thank you for enlightening us on that a little bit. Getting
Yeah.
back to your backstory.
Mhm. Oh yeah. So got my black belt in the Marine Corps. Oh, so even to jump back farther, I did karate. That was my very first athletic endeavor. It
Same
was, I was
here.
yeah, okay, cool, cool. I was really little. I remember the first time I got a plaque, a trophy. It was third place, but um, I was running around the facility and like because it was at the Tacoma Dome. So I was running around the facility and I showed my parents the plaque, and I just remember it was one of the moments that my dad really showed that he was just like he was proud in that moment, and like
Hmm.
that feeling of oh, somebody's proud of me. Somebody, like that elation really did set it up where I was just like, I got to push to be the best version of myself. Like, I want to be better than everybody, everything type of thing. Because I that feeling you get when others are just like, oh, you're freaking amazing. Before I did all self-help and all that good stuff. But so that kind of started the venture. Got to do the Winter Olympics and things like that as like a kid. Won those things. Got my sensei actually went back to Japan, and that's what got me into traditional sports. I think it's the only other team around us when we were young. There wasn't a jiu-jitsu or boxing or this or that on every corner.
Mhm.
The only other team was a Taekwondo school that was like cross city, but they were like our rivals. And I was in my mind as a 6-year-old, 7-year-old, I was like, those are the enemies. I can't go join them. I'd be betraying my sensei.
Right. No, I think some people still carry that in their head, even really late into their 40s, man. I mean,
Still,
I know. Like I'm wearing stuff too. Like,
facts.
uh,
But got out of it. Got back into the Marine, or when I joined the Marine Corps, that kind of revamped my martial arts prowess. Like that's what really started the journey as being able to compete as an adult in martial arts again. Um, when I got to Oregon, do you know who Dave Jansen is?
I don't. No.
Okay, so Dave Jansen, WEC vet, Bellator vet, fought for the title, a monster,
Sounds like it. Yeah.
beast. Dave, the fugitive. He he was actually at LA Fitness when I was on recruiting duty with the Marine Corps, and they were cutting weight. We were in the sauna, and I was like, man, I've really wanted to be in the do MMA, and I want to fight. I just don't know how. And he was like, because he's cutting weight for a fight. And he was like,
Mhm.
just come train sometime. And I was like, oh really? And he's like, yeah. So I finally was able to go and do some jiu-jitsu. He was actually like, don't go to Team Quest. It was kind of the
That
time.
was his one thing.
He was training. I was like, don't you train there? He's like, yeah, if you want to learn jiu-jitsu, go to this school, 10th
Mhm.
Planet. John Salami was the instructor there. I went there, trained with him, and everything was a wrap from there. But that was back in 2000, end of 2011, beginning of 2012, and I've been like super, super blessed. Really lucky. Time and place for everything. Jiu-jitsu was my, as an adult, my initial foundational martial arts, because of how I was doing in nogi grappling, and I was, beating people in pretty good fashion. Um, I myself, Novelli, a couple other guys went from a team of fisticuffs over to Rose City, RCFC, and that's where I got to become training partners with people like Ricky Simone, Tyson Nam, Brent Primus, just a bunch of
Top
monsters.
level guys. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was really at the moment where things just kind of took off, and people were asking. I never got to appreciate and like realize what was happening. I was just like, oh yeah, we're just training partners. I'm helping out, but
Right. Yeah.
being in people's corners, like now as a seasoned person, I realize how special it is when somebody, especially a high level person, is like, hey, will you be my corner? Hey, Nagi, will you corner me for this fight? Like that means a lot.
Yeah, they're putting some trust in you. They see a value in your opinions, and yeah, I always find it as an honor now. And maybe you can touch on this too. I'm actually more nervous now, or I don't know if nervous is the right word, but yeah, I get more emotional when one of my guys is in a match than I did when I was in matches. Like when I was in there, I was like, if something happens or something goes sideways, it's like it's me. I'll I have control to try to fight my way out of it. Compared to when I see one of my students maybe in some deep water or they're in some trouble, and I'm sitting there like, come on, man, like trying to give them that energy
Mhm.
to get out of it. But sometimes it takes a lot out of you as a corner too to see someone that you care about, learn a tough lesson.
Yeah, facts, 150,000%. Everybody gets nervous. Period. If you don't get nervous, you don't care. In my
Mm-hmm.
opinion, there's nerves that go into it. But once you step on the mat, step into the ring, the cage door gets locked. If you're competing, it's just kind of all right, cool. Like the
Yeah,
work's
it's
gonna
on.
go. Yeah, it's just let me do this. As a coach, those those that same little release or same little thing to take away those nerves or put those nerves into a focus kind of go, there's nothing there to do that.
Hmm.
So my heart's beating, I'm just like sweating.
Yeah, start to finish, man. Start to finish. I think that's yeah, that's really you hit it again on the head right there. Once that door closes, it's like, oh, I'm in here. I'm not going anywhere. Let's just settle in and we're gonna get to business. But yeah, as a coach, it's like it's not over until the fight's completely over. And by that I mean like the judges said, hey, this guy won. Because even leading up to that, I get nervous. I get kind of like, are they gonna see what I saw? Am I biased in what I'm watching? All those sorts of things too. So yeah, for those of you that have never cornered an individual, yeah, there's a lot that goes into it. So keep that in mind, guys. How would you say, Coach, that your military experience kind of shaped your approach to martial arts?
Really good question. Growing up and the coaches that I've had and the role models that I had always really preached hard work and discipline. So when I got into the Marine Corps, it went back to a lot of that, where it's the camaraderie, the team relationships that you have, and the the camaraderie that you have, and like the feeling that you are doing these things not for yourself, but for the other people on your team that are counting on you to do your job. When I approached, like that was just things that were really honed in on my character, my being, my how I approach things. So when I got back into martial arts, it wasn't necessarily just a self discovery journey that's about me. Let me see how good I can be at martial arts. It was really okay. Let me show up to practice. I don't feel like going to practice today. Let me show up for my other guys so they have the bodies to
Right.
work with. Uh, when I started learning to coach, it was okay. How can I explain? Like, yeah, it makes sense to me ish, but I don't have to think about it to do it. I'm just spinning and throwing this kick, or I just do it. But
Yeah,
then
things that you've done 10,000 times, right?
like how can I articulate this to somebody that's a world class striker but hates grappling, or a grappler that's never thrown a punch in their life because they had the Gracie method, they just block it.
Hmm.
Or,
Little front kicks and then takedown. There you go.
yeah, so I think that's just I was just talking to a couple people about this the other day, but like that grit, it's really really hard to teach. I think that same approach was what got me from the military to martial arts and being able to do things at the higher levels. Was just it wasn't about me; it was about these other people. Being able to give it up to God, like I'm not doing this because I want to do it, but it's not just because I want to do it. It's because I have this purpose, and if I push myself to the best of my being, then I'm living in my purpose. I'm doing the things that God wants me to do, and I'm going to have a bigger, better impact on those around me, those people that I'm meant to have an impact on, and whatnot. So, yeah, I think the military mindset, honing in those skills, kind of really cementing those attributes of the team,
Hmm.
the mentorship, learning your job, the jobs above you, being able to uh,
Hmm.
mentor people. Period. I think that was a big translation into how I've had successes as a martial artist and a coach.
Yeah, and I also love that about martial arts because where else in life outside the military are you going to find those attributes?
Mhm.
It's one of the few activities that you can do that's going to translate over to real life stuff. And it has so many of those values, the Bushido values, the old school honor, integrity, like those things mean something when you're in the military, when your life's on the line, when you're protecting people, or you're going out on a mission. Like, I feel like those words actually have a higher meaning for people that have been in those situations where your life's on the line. And for you, experiencing that on a real level, and now being able to bring that to your students and kind of like, I guess kind of walk them through the process and expose them to these attributes without having to put them under fire is amazing. And I, much like when I was younger, I didn't realize the benefit of all that until that I'm older now, and I'm like, wow, yeah, no, these things actually do mean something. So big kudos to you, coach, on being able to share that experience with your students, and kind of give them some real life insights. I mean, I've come across some traditional martial artists, and I'm not trying to, talk too much shit, but I've come across some real traditional martial artists that have never been in a fight. And they're out here and they're teaching people how to defend themselves, and they themselves have never been under duress to where you actually have to see if what it is you're training is going to work or not. So I always appreciate when we have coaches that are former competitors or that have been in the military and have actually had to use these techniques that they practice, and that to me just means a little bit more. So again, to all your students out there, like you have such a valuable instructor here that's giving you more than just how to do an Americana. Anybody can teach you the steps to a freaking Americana or Kimura or whatever, but they can't teach you like scenarios or situations or what you're gonna feel like when somebody's coming at you with ill intention. Um, I I know, like, when I teach a lot of like very novice people that have never been into any kind of physical altercation, the big adjustment they have to make is the speed at which things are happening, because a lot of people talk about that fight or flight, but nobody really talks about that freeze. And that, I feel like, is the most common thing that happens when things start popping off. Most of the times people just stop and freeze and watch. And in high volatile situations, those seconds matter, and you got to be trained. You got to recognize danger and react and move. So for somebody that's actually been in real dangerous situations, that's super valuable to be able to express to people that have never been there.
I appreciate that, and very, very, very well put. There's something that just popped into my mind, but I know this. But yeah, very, very well put. And there's so one of the things that I try to tell everybody is if you're thinking during a fight, you're losing. Like you have to have done the reps in order to make that stuff muscle memory and intuition. Like you're reading and analyzing, of course, like as you're moving, like you're still thinking, you're analyzing what somebody's doing. To kind of give a really good reference to this is like the John Jones DC matchup,
Mm-hmm.
where John Jones is like, no, like I'm knocking you out, I'm finishing you, this and that, and then DC's like, how? What, you think you're gonna head kick me, John Jones? You're not gonna head kick me, John Jones. There's no way you're gonna head kick me. But what was the muscle memory and the intuition? The muscle memory and intuition is to duck down, slip over a little bit, bring those hands down. So when they got tired, when they were working, when shit hit the fan, his
Mm-hmm.
muscle memory was to slip with his hand down, and that's when John Jones hit that head kick and got the finish. It's you have to do the reps. It doesn't matter, as you alluded to earlier. It's the repetition, getting the putting in the work. It doesn't matter if you want to be the best pianist in the world, podcaster, accountant, whatever. The more reps you get on it, the more it becomes intuition and muscle memory. You don't have to think about all the little stuff. You just get to do your job. And that's one thing that I just try to hone in on all my students. Like, I don't care what you do. I just want you to have the knowledge and skills to be able to do this stuff in a practical application when it counts.
Yeah, definitely. And like I preach to my guys as well. It's consistency over everything, guys. Not every training you're gonna freaking be phenomenal. I mean, I would say probably most trainings you're probably gonna get your ass kicked. And that's if you're at a decent gym. Like that's kind of what. But it's that fortitude you build in your head that keeps bringing you back. That's gonna get you to those next levels. And there's nothing like walking through the fire, man, and getting that real experience. um so yeah, that's all great stuff. Let's see here, coach. So you've coached from all levels. You've coached from the scrapyard all the way up to cornering guys in the UFC.
Mhm.
What would you say is the biggest difference in mindset between high performance athletes and the average athlete?
Mm, really, really good question. Um, there's a level of belief that's definitely in certain people that's just it's incredible. Like their self belief from amateur on through pro, it's like no,
Mm-hmm.
like they 100% believe that they're going to be a world champion, and if you can't even say it, if you can't even say like, oh, I'm going to be a world champion, I don't know if you're going to be able to put in the work to become it because when it gets stressful, when you have to wake up, at 4 a.m. because your job, and put your shoes on and go start beating the streets and do your workouts and do the
Mm-hmm.
extra work that it takes to prepare yourself. Like, will you do it? Do you believe in your mind that you are capable of doing the things that maybe you say every now and then, or you don't? You're afraid to say. Are you capable of doing those things? But when it comes to the mindset of the highest of high performers, is probably a couple things. One fold is they understand their attributes, like what they're good at, what they're not good at, their deficiencies, and they're very coachable. So they're
Mm-hmm.
not, the best people in the world, again, going back to a lot of times are the most humble, are willing to learn anything from anyone at any time. Doesn't matter if it's some, you know, bum on the street that they're just like, oh, I had this and that. I used to be a fighter back in the day. Okay, cool. And then they start showing some stuff. And I'm like, all right, well, let's see it because
Yeah.
there might be validity to it. You might take that 1%,
Mm-hmm.
versus the people that might be really, really good early on, but they don't have that humility to themselves and they're
Mm-hmm.
not very coachable. They eventually will hit a wall where somebody is going to, um, conflict with their ideology of saying I'm the best in the world and they're going to have a hard time. That person that's not so coachable, usually that's kind of where they plateau. I've seen a lot of guys go, 10-0 as an amateur, and then they have a couple hard fights as a pro, and then they're 2-2, 2-4, and you're just like, whatever happened to this guy? He had all the talent in the
Yeah.
world. Not very coachable. Didn't have that ability, that humility to actually learn and be suggested things, and I think
And
that's
push
one.
past that. Yeah.
Mhm.
No, I mean, I couldn't agree more with you on that. I mean, I started a whole company called Forever a White Belt for a lot of that it's that mindset, like I mean, they call it jar head, right? In the military for the Marines. I always keep my jar just, about 10% full. So that's about as high as it gets. But I do agree with you. I mean, the way that I approach martial arts is I don't think that there's any wrong technique out there. I think that there's a wrong application to the technique, but the technique itself usually is pretty sound. Like you can see how this motion works. It's just where do you place that motion? And I feel like a lot of arts, they have misapplication to some of their techniques so that it gets kind of like unpractical. You see that in a lot of traditional martial arts. And because of the fact that they don't really do any like real competitive competitions. A lot of those traditional ones, point sparring, stuff like that. There's like a stopping period. I don't think you could work out some of those flaws. So it's very important that to put yourself out there and really test those limits and see what it is uh, your training is actually going to transition to real life scenarios. So again, really solid stuff there. I also agree with the mindset for the top levels to lower levels. Do you think that that mindset can be taught, or do you think that that's something that's just installed in certain individuals where they just have that will, whether it's from their upbringing or whether it's just from like whatever it is, their desire. Some people just seem to have a little bit more than other people.
Facts, facts. It's that resistance that, when times get tough, are you willing to push past it? And that really, does boil down to a few things. So to answer your question, I don't think there's really much that can't be taught or can't be worked into, improved, things like that. Um, are some people a little bit more naturally gifted at those things, or does it come a little bit easier to some people when it comes to strengthening their mentality? 100%, 100%. But I don't think it's something that can't be. I think a lot of times
Mhm.
that's like a cop out, like, oh well, I came from this or this, that it's just
Right. Yeah.
um, but yeah, it's just knowing, being able to attach your why, and like knowing the reasoning behind your why behind your why of doing anything is going to give you a little bit more strength and a little bit more um, willingness to push past those, resistance points where some people just give up. They're like, oh, I don't want to do this. Oh, this is hard.
Mhm.
I don't want to do something else. Oh, I'm really good at basketball. So the second I'm having to do 2 a days, 3 a days in football, I'm just not. I'm just going to quit and go play basketball.
Right.
Same thing for fighting. Oh, I'm so good at striking, or I'm so good at jiu-jitsu, but the other thing is hard. So I'm just going to go to
They
those.
neglect it. Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty common. I've noticed that as well. A lot of people, I feel like some of it's some insecurity, and some of the people that are naturally more talented tend to have a little bit more insecurity when you put them in a position where they're not able to shine. It's like they don't want to see people see them struggle in something when they're so good at a certain aspect of it. It's like you're saying, like strikers to grapplers. When you put a dominant striker on the ground and you take away that range and you start smothering them and they're trying to punch you from laying on their back, I mean, it looks silly. It really does. Um,
Mhm.
but because of that too, they get that insecurity of like, I don't want to look dumb. So like, I don't want to come in here and look dumb. It takes a certain individual to be like, hey, there's a starting ground. Doesn't matter that I'm dominant over here. I still am a white belt over here, and I have to go through the process the same. But it's hard for individuals that have been studying a particular martial art for, let's say, 15 years, and they're a black fifth, sixth degree black belt, let's say in like Taekwondo or something, to then transfer over and then turn around and put a white belt on at a BJJ gym, when at their dojo, their top guy walking around instructing people, and then they come over here and they're a low level student. That's a hard kind of pill to swallow for some individuals. But if you want to really evolve and become a well-rounded individual, you got to put yourself in those situations. Um, but that mindset's everything. And like I said, when I always talk to people about martial arts, I look at it as like a three-pronged thing. It's a mind, body, spirit, right? And most people focus on the physical aspect of it, but until you're involved in it, you don't really realize how big of a factor your mind, your emotional state plays, and that spirit that you need to have to get you through those hard times.
Yeah, 150. Yeah, we're very like-minded on that aspect of things. One of the sayings that Nathan Orchard and Phil Schwartz, a couple mentors that have been in the game, 10 Planet Black Belts, one of their mantras is a black belt is just a professional white belt. Like once you hit black belt, it's not the end of your journey. It's like
Mm-hmm.
it's where your journey really begins. And
Right.
to kind of, because that's kind of like on a tangent, but to kind of put it together, when, like you said, when you're really good at something and then you come down and you have to be like the low man on the totem pole again, it is an ego thing. It is a hard thing. Like you won state 4 times, in high school. Well, guess what? When you go to college, everybody's won state 4 times, 3 times, at the school that you're going to, and you guys have to battle it out. The 4 time state champions have to battle it out for the one slot in that college position. And some people, they hit that, they get that resistance and they have to overcome, and they're willing to put the work in to overcome it and become, you know, um, the best. And other people are like, I'm just going to go to school, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and that's when you can suck at something and be okay with it and just keep doing it, eventually you'll get better. Like some
Mm-hmm.
people do 3 reps and that's in their game for the rest of their life. Some people it takes 100 reps. Some people it takes 10,000. If the person that needs 10,000 actually puts in the 10,000, the person that does 100 only does 90, and the person that only needs 3 only does 2. The only person that's going to get it and it's going to become muscle memory and intuition is that person that stays consistent and does the reps that they need to do in order for it to become muscle memory and intuition. And yeah, like you said, it's tough. And
Yeah, definitely.
tough.
And it takes it. I mean, that's why there's only certain individuals that make it to the top of this. But that's in the competitive aspect. I still think that martial arts brings so much to your life on so many other levels. I mean, I look at martial arts as kind of like the hub of things. I mean, because it transcends through every aspect of life. Like we are talking about earlier, those words like honor. You're gonna have honor in everything you do. Integrity, uh, responsibility, leadership. All these things you're gonna find in martial arts in some way. And if you're able to kind of like dissect that there, you can use those tools you learned at the gym and place it in other aspects of your life to be successful. I mean, it's the same method to being successful as what you're going to use in martial arts, what you'd use anywhere else in life. So it's one of these, again, one of these weird activities that just transcend through all aspects. And that's kind of like why I love it. And I'm sure you can agree that, like, yeah, I see this everywhere. And once you're, what is it that Joe Rogan said, that once you know the way, you see the way in all things, or something like that.
Okay.
I kind of agree with that. Like, I always, like, if I'm in a tough situation or something, I always think back to a lesson I learned in martial arts or something to help me kind of process or get through it and be like, okay, well, now my dumb brain could process this information and figure out the puzzle it needs figured out. Um, and that's just how I like to approach it. Let's talk a little bit about the scrapyard community, because that's where me and you met.
Yep.
I met you over at one of the scrapyard events. You brought a team, I bring a team up there, and I always love when other gyms come to the scrapyard, because I think the scrapyard has like this misconception about it, because it is a bit of some backyard fighting, but it's really about the community there. Like, we have such a welcoming and supportive community that I have not been able to find in other like events or competition aspects. Like, when you go to some of these amateur events, it's very tribalism. It's like my team versus your team, which, I mean, that's what we're here to do. So it makes sense. But over at the scrapyard, we have so many independent fighters, so many just like hobbyists or something that they want to just be a part of the community, and they've been able to really form something special over there. So could you give us some of your thoughts on how you feel about it?
Yeah, I mean that's beautifully said. Beautifully said. The scrapyard is something special, and to be honest, I don't look at it like I do other events. Like other events, you're there just to fight. Like that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're going there, you're trying to establish a record. You're still trying to do X, Y, or Z. Maybe you build some camaraderie with the people in the blue corner or the people in the red corner. Because that tribalism is still there.
Yeah.
But at those events, weigh-ins, this and that, it's all so. Some of them are better, run better than others, but it is very much like we're going in it just for this fight, just for this thing. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like scrapyard, you might not even know who you're fighting until you show up that day. Like
I don't think you do most of the time. Most of the time we match you day of. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of the beautiful thing is people are going there. They're true. In the essence of it, they're true martial artists, and they just want to be better. There's times where I've seen people that the second they start fighting, there's like they know that there's a little bit of a mismatch, and they don't try to finish the guy. They put in work, they push the person, but they're still letting the other person work and get that and build up their skills and confidence and whatnot. And there's plenty of guys when we went to the scrapyard that are the independent fighters, and you just see them kind of standing there, and you're like, "Hey, are you warming up? Like, what's going on? Who are you fighting today?" I'm just here by myself. You're like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh god." So there's like you, me, Coach Dylan, any of the coaches really. They're there to support each other. Um, Everybody's cheering on everybody. It's not like you're sitting in the back until your fighters are up. It's just there in the open. So people will help each other warm up. They're talking. They're networking. It's like a hard sparring. In my opinion, it's more like a hard sparring match where you can fight multiple times in the day. You can go and have fun and smile and laugh and do that type of stuff. Or settle beefs.
Or settle beefs, yeah.
And then there's still you're going to see these people next month. It's not like an event where you fight this one card and you may never see those guys ever again.
Right.
And it's really ran like a family thing. Like everybody that's working there, it's small. There's not a bunch of alcohol and other things. Not to say those things are bad, but it does change the environment. It's during the day. It's people are there because they want to work. They want to figure out how to become better. And I think that's more, instead of trying to build your resume, people are just trying to get better and to showcase some of the skills and talents they have and to learn.
Yeah, and I think that that was the initial intention when Steve Fire Chicken created this event for us to have there in Gig Harbor. Was he wanted to bring like-minded individuals together so that they can all train together and experience the community aspect and camaraderie that we were talking about earlier. And also, like we're saying, to settle beefs. So that people aren't, chasing each other down in the street, shooting at each other. I mean, we have way too much of that kind of like cowardly like type violence out there, where now we can settle things kind of, like honorable men, to where we can go in there and settle our beef with our fists. And hopefully at the end of it, we can shake hands and it's over with. Nobody has to, go to a funeral or anything like that. And I think that bring that aspect alone makes it very special. Maybe you could shed some light on how important it is to have that notoriety factor now as a young up and coming competitor. It's not just about being talented anymore. Now it's about having a name with you. And I feel like the Scrapyard, because of the platform and organization that they've created, gives a lot of these young fighters the opportunity to really get their name out there for sponsors or whoever it is that may be looking at them.
Yeah, 100%. Sponsors, bigger promotions. There's a reason why somebody that was a former NFL player with 0 fights gets a contract for their debut in the UFC. Yep. Or
WWE guy. Yeah, they're just saying yeah.
You know what I mean? And if you, unfortunately, just being the best in the world as a fighter, as a martial artist, doesn't mean you're going to be the biggest draw, get the biggest paycheck. So when when you know the work that you've put in, you have to be able to show that you can still add that entertainment value. Like DJ, I still am, in my opinion, he's the GOAT when it comes to martial arts. He's the GOAT. He's
agreed.
Like the things that he's been able to do in practical application is insane.
Yeah.
And but he's not the heavyweight. Can he one punch somebody, knock him out? Yeah, 100%. Can he submit people from at any time? 100%. But seeing 250 plus pound people in a cage, they're just going to blast each other. And
it's that what is it? The visual aesthetics that people tend to like. Those big knockouts and stuff like that. And if you're not a true martial artist, you kind of, some of those high level techniques that Mighty Mouse implements on combative individuals, like it goes right over some people's heads to compare to like, someone like yourself. You see that and you're like, dude, I can't even land that in fucking training sometimes. And this guy's going in there against a world-class fighter and he's able to do that stuff. Like, the people in the know, that's absolutely amazing.
And branding is huge when it comes to it. I mean, just to look at somebody that's that for whatever you think of him, is doing the branding right. Is oh, man, Spaghettios is his favorite. It's like one of his favorite fighters. He was just there the other month. I don't want to butcher his name.
Pappas? Is he a scrapyard fighter or a UFC fighter?
No, scrapyard fighter. The one that trained with DJ.
Oh, you're talking about Death Sentence.
Death Sentence. Yeah,
Yeah.
like look what Death Sentence has done. You know,
Right.
you got him building his branding, having his crew. Like all those guys are pretty decent. You know, like Wing C, he's good. He's really
He's
good.
good. Samoan Beast, they're pretty decent. Yeah, up and comers.
And they're playing into the character. There's they're when you meet them in person, they're all really nice guys. True martial artists. They have their stick and their brand, and it's giving them opportunities. You know, the GOAT of MMA, for the people that know and are area to know, did a training, a training with them and made a whole video.
Still does. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
He's still in contact. That's why I tell people all the time. It's like, look at the opportunities that this organization has been able to provide for.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not to knock on Death Sentence, but he's a pretty low level martial artist. He's starting out. And when you're at that skill set, the chances of you training with a high level pro or a pro in general, it's like next to none, So for the best in this game to reach his hand down and be like, hey, I'm going to take this kid underneath my wing and mentor him and do that, it's phenomenal. And he got that exposure from this organization. And that's huge. I mean, I Show Speed was there Saturday, where not Saturday or Tuesday, they did a little event for I Show Speed, who's one of the top YouTubers in the whole entire world, and he's coming through. He's heard about them, and that right there, that notoriety, you're not going to find it at your local event. You're just not.
Yeah, you're 100% right. I know guys, especially 10 years ago, 10 years ago in the scene when MMA was really starting to blow up. But
McGregor and all that, yeah.
Yeah, but there was fewer shows. You could be 10-0, 11-0, 12-0, fighting on your regional, local scene, be the guy, still fighting for a couple $1,000, because you don't like to do the social media. It's hard to get sponsors. They don't have that brand. And then they just never made it because they just didn't get the notoriety that they truly that their martial arts prowess truly deserved. And they're just like, yeah, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I can't pay for this. I got a new kid, so I can't do this. I can't do that. And they didn't, But
I swear, there's never a more tragic story to me than when I run across one of those individuals that 10 years ago, this guy was the shit. He was running through guys. It looked like he was going to take over the world. And because of that other aspect, because he wasn't very marketable, he wasn't really pushing his own brand or pushing the social media game, he kind of just fizzled out. And then now he's almost 40 or so, and he's broken down. And not only is his body broke, but he's broke, and it's like he went through all these amazing fights. He fought these guys that are now pros or whatever, but at the end of the day, all he has to show for it is some memories. I think Mighty Mouse is a good example of that in terms of, like, he didn't get paid what he's worth. And he's mentioned that on his podcast and stuff like that too, is he wasn't making the money to what his skill set was providing. And a lot of that had to do with some of the marketing, and it maybe not on his end, but the people around him or whatever, they weren't really pushing how good he was. And I think that's unfortunate. And in this game nowadays, it seems like the more notoriety you have, the more opportunities will be presented to you. Yeah. It's interesting. It's interesting seeing that transition.
There's a couple of really good points that you put on there. And with Mighty Mouse, because he was able to put out into the world what he like his genuine character, the genuine
Mm-hmm.
thing that he liked to do. Xbox came knocking on the door, and the right promotions came in, and the right people came around it, and that's one of the things that I try to tell people from uh, nine-figure businesses, solopreneurs, fighters, athletes, like whatever, is uh, one of my mentors is Todd Herman, the alter ego. He was the writer of that. He helped Kobe Bryant with the Mamba mentality. Um, but one of the big things is you're not like, don't fake it in the sense that you're not being genuine to your character and your true attributes that you want to, to be, but be the person that you want to become. Like what type of decisions do they make? What type of actions do they take? How confident are they? How do they speak about themselves? Like when you can be your genuine character and put out into the world things that you actually care about, at that point, it's not necessarily about the number of followers and viewers and this and that you get, but making sure that you're getting in front of the right audience that's there for your message, that's there to support you and your community and your tribe. Um, does having a bigger following and bigger numbers, does that help? Yeah, of course, because
Mm-hmm.
a smaller percentage of a million, of a million views is better than 100% of 10 views.
Yeah.
You know, you
Yeah.
know what
Yeah.
I mean?
That makes
So,
sense.
so there's that happy medium of there, but like if you're willing to put out there and show your characters and the traits that you want and things that you're interested in, that's what's really going to make you different and stand out between other fighters or other people marketing and things like that. And that's how you get the right opportunities. They really, play in their play. Like Death Sentence, him being himself and being able to push his brand when it comes to merchandise, when it comes to, maybe a comic book one day or a
Mhm.
series or this or that, or
Collaborating, all that stuff. Yeah.
yeah, cooperating with the goat. You know what I mean? Like that
Right.
stuff comes from being truly him and gaining the audience that knows, likes, and trusts that
Mhm.
person being that type of person.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% on that. I think it's very important as you're growing your brand to find, I guess, your people, right?
Yeah.
Find individuals that align with your message, your thoughts, your philosophies, and whatnot. And that's not to say that you can't have people in your group or in your tribe that are willing to question those things or challenge those things, and you guys can't have, a nice debate or come to some kind of middle ground. But essentially what you're trying to do is you're trying to form your own community when you're creating a brand. Am I correct with that?
I 100% agree with you. I would rather, sorry,
Oh, you're fine.
I would rather have discourse and people that are there to truly make me better. There's something to having like haters or yes men
Mm-hmm.
that are like whatever, but the people that are willing to have like discourse and call you on your BS and push you to become better, that's how you're gonna grow and become the best version of yourself. But if you
Yeah.
have too many yes men or you just listen to all the haters and
Yeah.
whatnot, that's
Nobody's
like
holding you accountable to your what it is you say you're gonna do.
yeah,
And that's an easy way just to become a talker right there. And I know so many individuals where they say, I'm gonna do this, or I'm gonna start training, I'm gonna start doing martial. I mean, in martial arts, that happens all the time. Like, oh yeah, once I get in shape, I'm gonna come through. And it's like, oh, that doesn't make sense to me. We're a gym. Come through and get in shape. But yeah, there's just so many the mentality plays such a huge factor in chasing success and in building this stuff. So I really appreciate that you as an individual, especially as a coach that's leading young men, you're really emphasizing on that aspect, on that community aspect, the camaraderie and the mindset, because I think that stuff that even if they stop doing the physical aspect, they can carry on those same lessons of fortitude that you're installing in them to transcend through the rest of their life. And that to me is huge. That's how you know that you're around a solid individual and somebody that's actually been through real life, that's been through the shit. and they're like, no, this is a method, man. This is what it is. And it's not easy, guys. It's not in to get anywhere, to have any form of success, you're gonna have to go through the hardships to get there. And there's no other way, there's no quick fix. And I think building up that fortitude in them, and having them have that solid mindset when chasing greatness is huge. It's probably the most important factor in succeeding, I feel.
Mhm. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. We have the one dayers, and to like the one dayers, oh, when I'm in shape that one day, then I'll be able to do this. It's like day one or one day. But I mean, you killed it. You you don't have to be in the best shape. You don't have to be the strongest. You don't have to be the whatever, from day one. Like you're not supposed to. Like you're supposed to, build it up. If you're the best version of yourself and there's no reason, there's no way you can get better at this thing, then okay, why do it? Like if you're the best,
Right.
then don't train, don't do this, but it's
Mhm.
like, if you're, 100 pounds soaking wet and, you're 6'2" or whatever, you're string bean, doesn't mean that you can't gain the muscle and gain the speed and gain the attributes to put on a little bit of weight and become the best fighter at that weight class. Stephen Chang, the Basilisk or the Chain Gang, when when he started fighting and training at 10th Planet, he was like 125 pounds soaking wet. He could weigh in and compete at 125.
Oof.
Now, he did decent in the amateurs, winning the pros, really good record as a pro, but that was one of his things. He put in the work, was willing to, put himself through it, train, stay consistent, and in the end, then he was cutting down to get to 145. And it was really a struggle to get down to 145, but he was able to gain the weight that he needed to gain in order to feel strong and feel those other things. Just like somebody that was, one of the guys that joined the Marine Corps, um, when he came into the office, he was 150 pounds over the maximum weight in order to enlist. So, and he couldn't even hang on the bar. Like he would jump on the bar and fall off right away. Minimum, you have to do 3 pull-ups to be able to even go to boot camp. When he came into the office, there was plenty of people that I've seen that, oh, one day, I'm going to join the Marine Corps. One day, oh, if only I didn't do this. Or my biggest regret is that I didn't join when I had the opportunity. All right, cool. Cool. But he came into the office. He was like, what do I got to do? We were like, hey, if you can do one pull up and you can lose, if you can get down to this weight, we'll hold your hand for the rest of it. Boom. He comes into the office, 100 pounds lighter, and could do his one pull up. We got him through it. By the time he went to boot camp, he was able to do 10 pull ups. He was 15 pounds under the weight, and it's like
There
you
you
said,
go.
like the dedication, the
Mhm.
fortitude, the mindset of being like, this isn't my circumstance. This
Mhm.
is the situation right now, but these aren't my circumstances. Like this is what I can do and I can become. Like when you take that ownership and that accountability, there's nothing you can't do. Like
Yeah.
there's nothing you can't do.
Truly, there really isn't. And honestly, that's the type of individuals that you want in a foxhole with you, right? Because you see the character of what that guy is. You see, like, he's willing to do this to get to this point. Like you can see that compared to somebody that walks up to you guys and he's able to knock out 10 pull-ups, but you don't know what he's going to act like under duress when he has to do 20 pull-ups and he's struggling. If he struggles, that same individual, you may never see him again, compared to this individual that couldn't even do one, but said, hey, I'm going to come back, give me some time, I'm going to come back and I'm going to nail this, and was given the opportunity and rose to the occasion. And I feel that for individuals like that, they find a deeper meaning uh in life in general. Like they don't just coast through life. I think it's important for you to put yourself under duress to see what kind of character you are. So I always hold those guys in a little bit higher regard. I got a final thought for you, coach, real quick before I let
Yeah.
you go here. What legacy do you want to leave behind, not only as a coach but as a Marine, an entrepreneur, and as a human being?
My mantra is inches make miles, progress over perfection. The only thing that separates you from the greatest in the world in any craft is the amount of time and effort you spend honing that craft. And that's the biggest thing for me. It's like my legacy is I want to make sure that all the knowledge that I have is able to be passed down. That whether it's on social media or through my students and um, through the people that I have interactions with, that it's a net positive interaction. That my students have the capabilities to not only be able to utilize their techniques and skill sets in practical application, but they're able to teach that and pass it on to other people, whether it's business or martial arts or just being a good person. Like I want everybody to just have a net positive impact on each other and become the best version of themselves and really find fulfillment. People get bogged down on fulfillment and they're like, oh, I'm supposed to be successful. This is what society says is successful.
Mm-hmm.
Been there, done that, and that made me like the most depressed that I've ever been in my life. Where it was, the mental health aspects of things and wanting to end it all and whatnot, and figuring out and finding what was truly fulfilling to me and like leaning into it is where I found fulfillment, where I found purpose, where I found, it doesn't matter how much money I'm making or what I'm doing. Like I would be okay doing these things day in and day out if I wasn't getting paid for the rest of my life, because it's living within my purpose and I defined what made fulfillment. So I hope that for everybody else that's out there, like find what's fulfilling to them and be able to live in their purpose.
That's a beautiful thing, Coach. And what a legacy and what a just positive message to put out there to the world, man. That's so awesome. I love it, man. Well, Coach, how can the people find you on your social medias?
Yeah, so you guys can find me anywhere. It's just my name, James Gamet. You'll see the Professor Game Time, Facebook, Instagram. Those are the big ones. Got to get on YouTube and start streaming like yourself. You're a huge inspiration. Like,
Hey, you are too, Coach. Trust me. Like I said, I'm a behind the scenes fan, but I watch what you guys are doing. I always try to follow the guys within the community because those to me are my celebrities. I don't know the big time name guys. I don't really follow a whole lot of like what they're doing. I mean, I can appreciate what they do, but for me, it's always about the people that I'm close to and their success that means the most. uh, I love going to the local events and seeing, these up and coming guys and they're putting in the work. I mean, that gives me inspiration. And the fact that, you're there too and you're also helping those guys out, it just makes me feel proud to be a part of that community of like-minded individuals that want the success of, the future generations and the future generation of like-minded individuals such as myself. I mean, I remember what it's like being a young fighter, and it's such a controversial thing to want to go and do sometimes,
yeah,
and you get a lot of shit from people from all aspects of your life. So for to find people that also do it and understand what it takes, I'm a huge fan of them. So I appreciate you so much for taking the time out of your day to get on the show here and spread some of your wisdom and your message with everybody listening, man. Thank you so much.
appreciate you, appreciate the community, and like we definitely got to do this again. I can't wait to see you.
Yeah, of course, Coach. Well, I'm going to let you go tonight, and I can't wait to see you again at one of these events, and we're going to link up and get some training in when we're feeling a little bit better, and
Yeah.
it's going to be awesome, bro. Can't wait to see you.
All right, there you
All
go.
right. Take care, bro. I don't know. Is it going to end?